Hello again. So we're still doing the Circ08. This is after the Circ B attempt. I realized in that video I was kind of rambling on about a potential idea I had while I was actually filming that video of how a potentiometer works inside your car, specifically with the volume dial where you twist the volume and it goes up and down, and a little indicator on that device that shows where the volume level is, and so on based off where you set the dial. And so I mentioned in the B attempt, we just had the one LED, so it was just on, off, on, off. It wasn't really anything interesting, but you could potentially program 8 of those in a series and have different thresholds marked for each one and get this kind of effect where the LEDs will move up in a line based off of the input that the potentiometer is getting. So I just kind of wanted to put some programming where my mouth is, so to speak, in this Circ08 Fun Attempt, as I named it in my here, or the rainbow potentiometer. So our sensor pin is exactly the same. It's still an A0. The wiring for the most part for the is the same, or based off of the same concept as the B attempt. I'm just using, as you can see, more pins because I have an LED now going in each area. So I have 6 of them in total, you can see. Otherwise, the idea is the same. I moved, however, the threshold integers up here to the beginning so you could kind of see how they're paired up. So 0 means the potentiometer is twisted all the way off. This potentiometer goes up to 1026, I believe. And so to have it turned all the way on, that would say 1026. And you can see each step we have a certain threshold, and then we have an initial sensor value of 0, and that just gives our computer a spot to store the data coming in for the potentiometer. It'll store it to sensor value. So since I added 5 more LEDs, I have to include these. So we now have 6 pin modes. In the past, we could have also used like an array and so on, but this is just kind of like a proof of concept. So really dirty, fully expanded code. And then we get to our loop. So the loop is pretty much the same. If you notice, I don't have the threshold value above the if statement because they're now up here. But we have if the analog read of the sensor pin is greater than threshold 1, so greater than 0, this the LED plugged into pin 1 will turn on, otherwise it will stay off. And then we have that program for each one. So for LED 2, we're using threshold 2 and LED pin 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 LEDs. Same if-else statement, all just going, so 6 decisions being made. But we get this cool little effect where, based off of where the potentiometer is, all the previous thresholds are met. We don't have to do like a logical test like with an and or anything like that. All those, if the threshold is greater than 684, all of these LEDs will turn on, except for 6. So what that looks like in real life here is this guy here. So the wiring is the same for the Arduino. I just left that part in. Here, all we did was add, basically copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, all these LEDs running up the line from 13 to pin 8. And I chose different colors just to make it somewhat aesthetically pleasing. But this potentiometer is currently twisted all the way to the left, which means it's at 0, and you can kind of could have tell by that little blink from the red LED that for a brief moment, the sensor read it as higher than 0. As soon as we twist it, there it is, red LED. Now we've reached threshold 2, threshold 3, threshold 4, threshold 5, and threshold 6. So, and then if we go down, you can see the same thing. And it's pretty much one-to-one, so you can just kind of go crazy with it. So you now have a way of generating a stream of characters. So you can imagine I'm turning up the volume in my car, I'm turning down the volume in my car, that sort of thing. That's just kind of, thought that was kind of going to be an interesting experiment that I wanted to test based off of the hypothesis I kind of just brought up in the middle of filming the B attempt. So kind of interesting. This probably won't end up being my A attempt, specifically because the professor professor's assignments specifically mentioned using a servo, and as you can see, there's no servo plugged into here. But I am still waiting for some feedback from that, because if you remember from my CIRC04 attempts, we already used a servo in that, along with a potentiometer to get 1-to-1 ratio. That was our elevator attempt for the A attempt. And the B attempt specifically used the potentiometer linked to the servo. So I'd kind of want to do something different than a servo and a potentiometer. But, that's just me. So yeah, that is my Circ08 Fun Attempt. Thanks for watching.